Hey, welcome to Screenplay Junkie. My name's Drew Hellmich, and I love screenwriting and everything there is about movies. But before anything makes it to the screen, it always begins with text on paper. So if you're a fellow addict of film and storytelling, join my brothers, Matt and Bryan, and I as we take a look at various types of screenplays, short stories, and other source material that were crucial to the creation of the stories we all love. There will be spoilers, though, so I do recommend being familiar with the title that's being discussed. Sound good? All right, then let's get started. Welcome back, fellow story addicts, to Screenplay Junkie, episode 49. Drew, Matt, and Bryan here.
Hello, guys. How we doing today?
Fantastic. How are you doing?
Doing great, Bryan.
Doing right.
I heard you had a little background story for us to start the show, right? Is that
a little backstory, a little history lesson here for you guys and all the listeners.
History.
Do you know how Arnold Schwarzenegger got into bodybuilding?
No. How did he?
So the story goes back in third grade. He would wear wooden shoes, and he would get made. He would be made fun of by all the other children in his class. So he decided to remove those wooden shoes and gain those big biceps.
Yeah, he removed those shoes and he beat them with it. That's what the story sounds like.
Back in Austria?
Yeah, he just started getting yoked and beating kids with his wooden shoes.
I'm sure that's a true story.
Mm-hmm.
Completely true, right? This is completely true?
It's completely true. You can fact check it.
I mean, we could ask Arnold himself. Isn't he here? Isn't he? He's on the line, right? Isn't he? We have him on the line.
Yeah. Well, no. Here, hold on. Let me plug him in. Here we go. Hold on. Hey, Arnold. What's up, man? We just want to do a fact check with you.
Hey, how's it going? I'm so happy to be here on this episode of Screenplay Junkie.
Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Schwarzenegger. We're very excited to have you.
Yeah, big fans, man. I appreciate it. No, the pleasure's all ours, sir.
One thing I want to get off this table before we start this recording. I really wish you guys would have told me about the wooden shoes. It was a time in the third grade when I was bullied in the third grade by my teacher and peers, and I turned to weights to help with the depression, and my biceps got so big and my chest got so big, I turned an actor into an actor. I have to get going now, as being governor, lot to do, pushing pencils, signing cards. If it bleeds, we can kill it. I thank you for episode 49 of Screenplay Junkie. Oui.
What the fuck? He's not.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not sure who the hell we just talked to right there.
I don't think that was Arnold Schwarzenegger. He sounded French.
Yeah, he said oui. He thought he was still the governor of California for some reason.
I think we were fooled, guys. I think that publicist gave us the wrong number.
Tomfoolery, yes, most definitely.
Or, maybe it was Arnold and he got his memory wiped, or he's got some sort of memory.
Maybe he's just been living in Paris for a while or something.
Maybe. I don't know what the case was.
I just wish he had more time. Regardless, it's too bad we couldn't have him. We couldn't even ask him any questions. We didn't have time.
I know. He just talked over all of us.
And we didn't even talk about. He didn't even talk about Total Recall.
No.
He gave us 0. So much for making that question list, Drew. You really put time into that.
It took a long time. Yeah, man. It took me like 2 weeks to put that together. I really wanted to dig into, who he was.
Oh, well.
Whatever. It's not a big deal. Let's move on. Let's talk about Total Recall, because that's what we got today. We're talking about the 1990 film version, and there's also a 2012 remake that stars Colin Farrell, Kate Beckinsale, and Bryan Cranston.
I didn't know Bryan Cranston was in that.
Did you guys ever see this movie?
I watched it, I think, but I don't remember watching it.
Never seen it.
That's how memorable it was.
I didn't see it either. I was content with the 1990 version. I was like, you know what? I don't even want to watch the 2012 version.
I'll get around to it again eventually.
Yeah.
It's not, I looked it up, it's not regarded as a very good movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it like verbatim? Is it like the same movie?
No, it's different.
I have no idea.
I think the plot's different.
Okay.
All right.
But, did you guys know that Total Recall, the film, was based on a short story? Did you know that before we like came together and talked about this is the episode we wanted to do next? Were you aware of this?
I know. I remember you showed me. I know we have like the actual copy of like the text at home.
Yeah.
I assumed, but I didn't know like that was the first before the movie, which makes sense now though, that the book before the movie. But it's interesting to see that the short story turned into a Oscar-winning movie.
Well, I don't know about an Oscar-winning movie.
It won an Oscar? Did it?
It did win an Oscar, yeah.
And
for what?
Yeah, for what? Arnold? Best male lead actor?
I don't know exactly.
Yeah, right.
I was just like Googling doing research. It just said, it won an Oscar. I don't know exactly what the award was.
Or, I mean, like for the three boobs lady?
All right, well, we need to fact
Special
check.
effects?
We need to fact check this right now.
Yeah, let's look it up.
It says, by winning the Special Achievement Award for Visual Effects at the 63rd Academy Awards, Total Recall became the first and to date only Philip K. Dick film adaptation to win an Oscar.
Oh, okay.
Damn it, won an Oscar.
I was not aware of this. Pretty cool.
I never would have guessed that. That's pretty impressive.
I'd say the category that one suits it. I mean, I was never imagining like lead actor or anything like that.
Has he ever even been nominated for like to be
I doubt
an
it.
Oscar winner as an actor?
I doubt it.
Arnold?
Man, that's unfair. I mean, Commando. Come on, Commando.
Yeah, Commando. Kindergarten Cop.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right.
just like say no more. That's Oscar worthy.
So, he got one for Predator, Total Recall, Terminator 2, Dave, True Lies, Junior, Eraser, so on.
And Jingle All the Way.
Yes, absolutely.
Nominations.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to talk about the short story in a little bit. So let's talk about the IMDb info first.
All right, so Total Recall came out in 1990 on June 1st, summer blockbuster.
Yeah, makes sense.
I'll go ahead and read the log line. This is one of the worst log lines I think I've ever read. Ready?
Oh, great.
When a man goes for virtual vacation, memories of the planet Mars, an unexpected and harrowing series of events forces him to go to the planet for real. Or does he? They throw in the or does he. I'm like, what is that?
Yeah, it's kind of a weird one.
Or does he?
Just like a cliffhanger within the logline.
It was directed by Paul Verhoeven, and the short story, as Drew mentioned, was written by Philip K. Dick. Screenplay was adapted by Dan O'Bannon, Ronald Shusett, I think is his
Yeah.
Those are like the two main guys that adapted the screenplay.
Okay.
Oh, they did Alien, right?
Yeah. I was going to get there in a sec.
Oh, fuck.
No, you're good. Alien's a great movie. Aliens is even a better movie.
Mm-hmm.
Alien 3, not so good. Alien 4, All right, so starring in Total Recall, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Rachel Ticotin, Sharon Stone, Ronny Cox, Michael Ironside, and Ray Baker.
Ray Finkel?
Ray Baker.
Oh, Ray Bankel. Sorry.
Baker, like a baker's dozen.
Yes. Yeah. Of course.
Ray Baker.
Understand it.
Yeah.
It's a crazy cool name. Like Ray Baker, he just sounds like he wears sunglasses like at all times.
Yeah.
Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, so this movie was made for $65 million. $65 million.
Oh, wow.
In 1990, yeah. And it grossed worldwide $260 million. So it made a boatload of money. Very, very good.
Yeah, Paul Verhoeven's a good director, man. He's done RoboCop and Starship Troopers, to name a few.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So he likes the sci-fi genre. So he's the perfect man for this, I would say.
All right, let's do some trivia for it. So Ronald Shusett and Dan O'Bannon, as Drew already just mentioned, they wrote Alien together, which is a crazy cool movie about like people on a spaceship being like, you know, trying to be killed by an alien. That's like crazy. Like,
I mean, what an
xenomorphs,
idea.
right?
Xenomorphs.
Yeah, well, they started
To
working.
think of that, that's crazy.
They started
Awesome.
working on Alien because they were writing this movie, Total Recall, but they figured it was like too much of a budget to accomplish at that time in their careers, so they like put it aside and then wrote Alien, which was probably made for a lot less money than $60 million.
Yeah, a lot of visual effects in Total Recall, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. And even like set design and all that.
Mm-hmm. This was one of the last major Hollywood blockbusters to make large-scale use of miniature effects as opposed to CGI, right?
Oh,
so a lot of that
man.
stuff on Mars, miniatures. It was also one of the first major Hollywood blockbusters to use CGI, mainly for the scenes involving the X-ray scanner when they're walking past it at like the airport or wherever that is, and having it look real.
Yeah, this movie visually is really cool for its time.
Yeah, and that's why it won that Oscar. It kind of makes sense now that Bryan mentioned that. Although this is never mentioned in the film, the cover of the VHS edition, remember VHSs?
Oh, yeah.
The cover, though, it mentions that the film takes place in 2084, the year 2084.
Oh, okay.
We're getting there.
That's only 60 years away, people.
Yeah, we're getting there.
64, Drew.
Okay, whatever.
The original cut of this movie was given an X rating by the MPAA for excessive violence, right?
Oh, come on. It's not bad.
Violence. Some violence was trimmed in different camera angles, were used in some of the more over-the-top scenes, and then the movie was re-rated to R. And some of those re-edited scenes are, for example, when he uses the human body shield against the machine gun, and that guy's body just gets lit up with bullets.
Yes.
They had to trim that down.
Mutilated. Okay.
And then I guess when that one mutant like taxi driver guy, when he gets killed, apparently it was like really graphic in the original version, and they shot it and they had to trim it down because it was too much. It was too graphic.
It's all fake. Who cares?
77 people died in the movie. Fake died. The director Paul Verhoeven, he signed on to the film in the autumn of 1988, and they began filming in Mexico City because of its futuristic architecture, right? So all of those scenes where it looks like they're underground or like there's the big cement walls, right? That's actually Mexico City.
Oh, okay.
And it still looks like that today. 500 people worked on this film. They built 45 sets that tied up 8 sound stages for 6 months. It took them 6 months to build it all. And Total Recall was the second most expensive film in history at that time, next to Rambo 3.
Whoa. Rambo 3?
Yeah, so $60 million in 1990 was the second most money that had ever been spent on a movie. Ever. It's crazy.
Shit.
That's kind of, I don't, that just like is hard to believe for me a little bit.
It is.
Yeah.
I thought maybe Star Wars would be
yeah, right, exactly. Or
somehow no.
Any like Steven Spielberg or George Lucas movie in the 80s.
I mean, we could fact check it.
Yeah,
but that's what it says.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Like I said, they filmed it in Mexico, and towards the end of that filming, the director got so sick from food poisoning that he had an ambulance nearby on set at all times because in between takes, the paramedics would administer fluids and medication so that he could keep directing in spite of his like horrible illness. Like they were like spiking him with IV bags right like while he was directing.
What a trooper! I respect that fully.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm questioning like the full detail of that story. He probably like told everyone it was a lot more serious than it was. Maybe.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if that's real.
Sounds horrible.
It does sound bad. Food poisoning would suck. And most of the crew that worked on this movie in Mexico got ill due to food poisoning. Not nearly as bad as the director, just a lot of maybe like stomach aches, stuff like that. But Arnold Schwarzenegger, he never got sick. You want to know why? Because he imported all of his food while filming in Mexico from the United States. He refused to drink any water, any food that was cooked in Mexico. And the reason he did that is because when he filmed Predator, which also was filmed in parts of Mexico, he got very sick.
He's like, I'm never doing that again.
So he said, I'm never eating food while filming in another country.
Smart man.
Again, he imports.
He learned his lesson.
And he had the money to do it.
That too.
All right, so let's talk about this character, right? Quaid, or Quail, as it was in the original story. But
yeah.
The concept of Quaid as a buff construction worker, that was suggested by Arnold Schwarzenegger himself. In the earlier drafts of the script, Quaid was described as like an average-looking accountant type guy. That's how it is in the original story as well. And because of this detail, the first producer, he was like adamant that Schwarzenegger was not going to get the part. Like he did not want Schwarzenegger at all. But then Arnold basically convinced another producer to buy the script rights from the other guy. And then later they just changed the character to the one that was more suitable for Arnold. And Arnold said it himself that he felt it actually improved the story.
Just the occupation?
Like
having a big jacked guy who's a construction worker, yeah. And I mean, there would never be a movie where Arnold Schwarzenegger was an accountant.
No.
No way.
It doesn't suit who he is visually.
Absolutely.
At
You're
all.
spending too much money on having fun.
You need to learn how to budget. Patrick Swayze was originally supposed to play Quaid when they were talking.
Are you serious?
Yeah, back in like 84 when they were trying to get the movie going.
Okay.
Arnold, he actually ended up taking the part because he liked the idea also of like the virtual travel recall, right? A memory implementation. And he loved the scene where the salesman sells him on the trip. He said that was his favorite scene in the movie. Getting convinced to do recall.
All right.
You guys remember Quato?
Yes.
That little alien mutant guy?
Yeah, attached to the guy's stomach.
Yeah, well, it took 15 puppeteers. 15 of them to control that guy's body movements. Quato,
that's kind of cool.
Quato, whose name is from the Spanish word cuate, which means twin.
Right on. Okay, all right.
Very cool. And in this like documentary, the director said that the special effects makeup designer, he made the puppet look so real that he was actually approached on the street by people asking him if it was like a real like person, you know, just like made to look up like a little more gross. But no, it was just a puppet.
Oh, come on, people.
I don't know who the hell thought that. I don't know who thought that. And the last thing I have, this is pretty wild. So the guy who wrote the script, Dan O'Bannon, right? The guy who also contributed and wrote Alien. So this guy's an awesome writer.
Yeah.
He was never happy with the ending that was filmed. The Martian machine, right, that created the breathable atmosphere in like 30 seconds.
Giving oxygen, yes.
He didn't like that. That's
okay.
Sorry, I just spoiled the end of the movie if you didn't know. Mars gets oxygen on it, and everyone can breathe on the surface. Holy shit, right?
Yes.
Wow. That'd be very cool. We would have another planet to go to, right? He thought it had no thematic connection, the screenwriter, with Philip K. Dick's concept of memory implants. Jesus, I struggled through that. So the guy didn't like how the movie kind of just like puts air on Mars and really has nothing to do with the implants anymore, like in his eyes. So this is how he originally wrote the script, okay? This is his words. This is the concept he revealed. There wasn't supposed to be a 3-fingered Martian handprint on the machine. This is what the screenwriter is saying.
Yes.
That was supposed to have been a print of Quaid's hand, which matched only his hand. Quaid, Earth's top secret agent, he went to Mars right before, and then he forgot about it, and he entered this like alien compound. That's how the story was supposed to go. And the machine apparently kills him and creates a synthetic duplicate of Arnold's character. And then Arnold is that synthetic duplicate the entire movie. He can't be killed because he can anticipate danger. He's also omnipotent, which means he's a god. Like, he literally can't die. And because he can't be killed, Earth wants to kill him but can't. And that's why they have to erase his memory and go through all that trouble to, like, try to keep him contained, right?
Yeah.
And give him a fake wife and all that shit. Because, again, like, I watched the movie and I asked you, Drew, why don't they just kill him, right? Then there's no story. But
yeah,
the whole point is, like, they can't. They physically can't kill him. And the only way to control him is to erase his memory. And he just also said that audiences, like, they don't question it when it's like an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, like why they can just like not die and they kill everybody. Yeah. It's an action movie, right? They just expect it. So he thought it was clever to actually have a reason for this action hero not dying.
Yeah.
And then, like, I guess at the end of the movie, Quaid puts his hand on that device, like that's only for his hand, and he's supposed to remember. Then have a total recall of everything that happened to him in the past.
Yes.
So he remembers that he's a synthetic duplicate, basically, and he realizes that he's a god, he can't die, and he's like, he apparently in the original script he had Quaid saying, "It's gonna be fun to play God."
At the end of the movie.
At the end of the movie,
that's
yes.
so elaborate, interesting, but I feel like for like a viewer to understand, you have to read that probably to understand that. You know, like I guess watching it, maybe they'll. If they were to unfold it that way, I feel like it just sounds like it's too of a headache to try to. That's why the producers probably cut it out. Yeah, that's why the producers didn't like it, and they just went with the ending that we see in the movie, where it's kind of cheesy. Mars gets oxygen, but it's kind of easier to understand.
I mean that ending that O'Bannon what you just described that O'Bannon does. I mean, it's interesting, but I kind of don't like it at the same time because. You're saying that he can't die,
right?
Which I mean,
in
all these hero, but in every movie, the hero basically never dies, right? They go through all of these challenges and they succeed.
And now the writer's giving you a reason why he can do it.
Yeah, like, so then the entire movie, once you get to the end, and again, you can say this about any movie, whether he's this abandoned character where it's like he's some synthetic being who can't be killed, or the hero that is a normal person who doesn't die because they're the hero and they need to succeed at the end of the story. But it just removes the stakes for me. It removes any sort of danger the person is supposed to be in.
And that's why they're revealing it right at the end, right?
Yeah.
So it's supposed to be like, oh, wow,
Yeah.
Arnold's a god.
Sounds a lot like Terminator to me.
Terminator.
Yeah, he's essentially the Terminator, except he's, I don't know. I mean, with the line at the end that it's going to be fun to play God, that kind of sounds like he's just going to kill
be
the
bad.
entire human race.
Sounds like he's going to be bad, yeah.
King of Mars.
Whoa, that would have been crazy.
That would have been a much different movie for sure.
Yeah. Now let's talk about the source material of Total Recall.
Short story.
Which is We Can Remember It For You Wholesale by Philip K. Dick.
I really like this name.
Yeah?
We Can Remember It For You.
Wholesale.
Wholesale. It's like come to Costco and get a memory.
It's on sale.
Yep.
So it was first published in the Magazine of Fantasy and Science Fiction, April 1966.
Oh, I thought it would have came out in a book. And geez, 1966. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude.
No wonder
That's
it's kind
an
of weird
idea,
to read.
you know?
It's dated.
Yeah, short story. I mean, around this time frame, I mean, even today, like short stories are published isolated by themselves. Like if you're a writer of short stories, you submit to magazines that you think your material will fit in. And that's
Okay.
and then later on, that's when they create anthologies of short stories that you've written in the past. That's typically how it goes. I mean, you could probably come out with an anthology right off the bat, but magazines, and there's not many of them really.
No, it's all like online subscriptions now.
Yeah. But who was Philip K. Dick? He was a science fiction writer, born December 16th, 1928 in Chicago, Illinois.
Hey.
And he died March 2nd, 1982 at the age of 53 from a stroke. And as I say, the day that he died,
That's today.
that's the day this episode is going to be released,
Yeah, March 2nd.
which is
Yeah, that's
crazy. That is Philip K. Dick
We didn't even
fitting
line that up. We did that.
science
We did not
fiction
do that on
type stuff
purpose.
right there.
Of course we didn't do it on purpose. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, that is some crazy coincidence right there, guys.
That's just Philip K. Dick like cucking us. He's like cucking our episode. What a legend.
And during his lifetime, he produced 44 published novels and approximately 121 short stories.
This guy's a
impressive.
beast. He's got a library.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a library, an entire library of his own writing.
Yeah, and besides Total Recall, if you're familiar with it, he's also done a variety of popular Hollywood films that are based on his work. So that includes Blade Runner, which came out in 1982, and that's based on his novel Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep that came out in 1968.
Yeah, better Blade Runner, better title than Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, which is cool, but
Yeah.
That is cool, yeah.
Blade Runner a little bit better.
Minority Report, which came out in 2002, which is based on a 1956 short story.
Tom Cruise movie. I've seen it. It's weird.
Yeah. A Scanner Darkly, I guess that came out in 2006, and that's based on a 1977 novel.
Cool.
And the Adjustment Bureau, which came out in 2011, and that's based on
Bureau.
Adjustment Team. I can't say Adjustment. And that short story was published in 1954.
Yeah, we're all struggling with the words today. It's okay.
Yes.
And then the novel The Man in the High Castle, which came out in 1962, which is a crazy book. That was made into a multi-season television series by Amazon, and that started in 2015.
Yeah, and that's where like the Nazis win World War II, right? And then
Yeah,
it's like the future if the Nazis had won.
Yes.
Took over the world.
Yeah, so like the Nazis take over the eastern United States, the Japanese take over western United States.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's very, very strange.
I don't know which side I would want to live on. I feel like there really is no better side there.
Oh, no way.
Maybe just go to Canada.
Yeah,
Wait, but they would probably have Canada too.
probably.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Yeah, but
I would go to Aruba.
okay.
Jamaica.
Just go to an
Nice.
island.
Yeah.
All right, for sure.
Be like, ain't no Nazis here.
No,
Not on my island.
Aruba. Well, let's talk about Philip K. Dick's life a little bit. All right. So as a kid, his family moved around quite a bit. He started out in Chicago, then they went to San Francisco, Washington, D.C., then back to California, where he eventually went to college at the University of California, Berkeley.
Berkeley.
Oh, little Berkeley. Little prep kid, huh?
And while in college, Dick did not declare a major, and he took classes mainly in history, psychology, philosophy, and zoology. And through his studies in philosophy, he believed that existence is based on internal human perception, which does not necessarily correspond to external reality. This is some crazy stuff.
Yeah, what?
He also described himself as a cosmic panentheist, believing the universe only as an extension of God. And after reading the works of Plato and pondering the possibilities of metaphysical realms, Dick came to the conclusion that the world is not entirely real and there's no way to confirm whether it is truly there. And based on this belief from his early studies, this is something that persisted as a theme in many of his novels.
That the world is not really there?
Whoa.
Or just like a lot, stuff like that. I mean, I know like that's in Blade Runner, and I mean, you can even say it's in Total Recall with this like memory stuff.
So you're saying that chili I just ate was not really there? Because it tasted pretty good.
Maybe.
Philip K.
I mean, you're kind of getting into the stuff about like that's similar to the Matrix a little bit.
Yeah.
With
damn.
that kind of
Yes.
belief.
So this he was a real thinker, huh?
Yeah.
He would just sit down and think
Yes.
a lot, it sounds like.
That's super interesting. Wow. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. There's some other stuff
Weird
about it.
beliefs spawned some probably great stories other than Total Recall. I haven't heard much about the other ones, but I'm assuming they're pretty damn good.
He's got a lot of science fiction. That's like all he wrote, really. Just
not-
all science
Okay.
fiction.
He kind of sounds like he'd be rough at parties. Just be like,
Yeah.
It's like that we're not even really here, you know. It's like, come on, dude. Like, just enjoy the party, man.
Come on, Dick. You're being a real dick at this party.
Yeah.
You know that?
What's up, Dick? Have a beer, Dick. Lighten up, Dick.
I mean, there's other stuff about his background. If you want to go check it out, I didn't want to get into the other stuff because it gets,
Yeah.
it just gets
Rabbit
like
hole.
kind of
Sounds like a rabbit
stranger and yeah. But let's move on and just talk about the short story. All right, so we can remember for you wholesale. Let's run through the main plot points of this thing. So the story is about the melding of reality, false memory, and real memory, which that's basically what Total Recall is about as well.
Correct.
They don't tell you in the story, or I should not say they. I should say he. There's no exact year of when the story takes place. However, we know it's set in the not too distant future of Chicago.
Yeah, this is the short story, right? We're doing.
Yeah, short story. Yeah.
Yes.
So I mean, that was kind of cool. You know, it takes place in Chicago. You know, that's where we're from. Cook County, and all this stuff we're familiar with was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool when he's writing about where he's from too, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So the main character is Douglas Quayle. His name is Quaid in the movie. And in the short story, he's a normal guy who works at a boring office job, and he has this dream of traveling to Mars, but he's always dissuaded by his wife.
Yeah, I don't think Arnold was cool with Quail. Maybe he's like, no, I must be Quaid. It's stronger than
Way
me.
to quit.
Yeah.
Maybe he just like couldn't say quail.
I don't know.
No, he likes
Sounded
Quaid because
Quaid.
it's also short for quad, and it had something to do with lifting.
I think
Okay.
he got it.
Oh.
Yeah. I think that's the reason. We should. If only we could have asked him about that when we had him on earlier.
I think he nailed it there.
I mean, we could try to call him back at the end of the episode. We could try, even though we know it's not the real Arnold.
No, he already blocked our
Yeah.
number, dude.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
Ah, damn.
All right.
Yes.
All right, so with this obsession of Mars, Quayle discovers a company called Recall Incorporated, a place where he can receive memory implants of having traveled to Mars. So, okay, if this was a real company that offered you implants of memories of things you never
No.
actually went to do, would you do it?
No.
Why?
Because I mean, yeah, it'd be interesting, but I feel like if you're a company doing this, you have a dark side, 100%. You're doing something bad. You're not just like, oh, kindness in my heart. I'm gonna put things in your brain.
Yeah, there's too much that can go wrong. Plus,
Yeah.
while you're under and they're putting memories into your brain, who knows what they could take out of your head, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
They
That's
could,
true.
they could take your information, like, who knows, like other memories that you've had.
Yeah, scary stuff, most definitely.
You don't want to mess with your brain. I would never do something like this.
Yeah, all right, so we all agree.
I would go to Mars
Face
for
value.
real though, if it was possible.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Check that out. I don't know what you would do on like the flight, like because that would be, it could be like a couple days, right?
Just binge a couple shows, man.
Just get Netflix going.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. You could beat the Elite Four. There are
mean-
a lot of things you could do.
You could be.
Wow, that is so random. I
very
love
random.
it. Oh, I love it.
I mean, you'd have to like download the Netflix stuff onto your device, right? Because there's no Wi-Fi.
No,
in
I mean,
space.
maybe. You never know.
That'd be impressive.
Who knows? All right, so while he's at recall, Quayle somehow regains erased memories of who he really is, and he's a secret agent who has traveled to Mars. So this is where you could say he has these memories of his past that he's not aware of because he's been implanted with new memories already that makes him think that he's an office worker, right? But these memories that he's not aware of are what led him to go to recall. The fact that he went to Mars, and then with his fake memories now, he's gravitating towards Mars. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because the information is like dying to get out of him, basically. Like somehow in his subconscious,
It's revealing itself,
he wants
yes.
to reveal that information to himself.
Yes. Which, I mean, this is like crazy stuff here.
Exactly. Because Philip K. Dick was a thinker.
And so, afraid of what they've done, the people at Recall Incorporated, what they've inadvertently done, they refund Quayle his money and send him home. So now Quayle thinks the operation was a failure because his memories are blurry. So this is kind of like basically he's stuck between these two people these two realities of who he is. The reality that he did experience, and then this like fake reality, fake reality, but like these fake memories that have been implanted into him to believe that he's an office worker. Right. So now he's stuck in between these two things.
Because he thinks they implanted something in his brain, but they actually didn't, though.
Yes.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, that's a crisis recipe right there.
Yeah, it's like, what do you do in that situation?
So when he goes home, he finds a box of smuggled Mars fauna in his desk. So he asks his wife if he's ever been to Mars, and she's just fed up with him because this is all he talks about. So she just angrily leaves him. So at this point of the story, because we know how the movie pans out, that the wife, Sharon Stone, is an agent who's watching him. Did you think that was going to happen in the story too?
I did, yeah. But then she just ends up leaving. Like she's just like, I'm sick of this crazy guy.
Abruptly, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought she was going to be an agent too or something, but no, she was just his wife, and she peaced out. And then, so after she leaves, like there's just like two guys hanging out in his house in the shadows or something.
Yeah.
And so they're two armed men, and they're called Interplan policemen. I guess this is the agency that he used to work for as a secret agent, Interplan. They suddenly enter and reveal that Quayle has a telepathic transmitter in his head that allows them to read his thoughts.
So they've just been tracking his every movement. They know what he's been thinking and doing.
And every thought he has.
At every turn.
Yeah. Which it's like, okay, you can't think anything, man, because they're going to know what you're doing, where you're going, anything. Doesn't matter. So that raised the stakes for me. I like that, even though it was kind of out there. But so while they're reading his thoughts, through this entire interaction, Quayle suddenly remembers why he had his memories erased. And Quayle realizes that he wasn't just a secret agent. He was an assassin who killed a political opponent for Earth's government on Mars.
Right. For some reason, everything's like slowly coming back to him.
Yeah.
And he killed what did you say, like a politician?
Yeah, some sort of political figure on Mars.
Like maybe he killed like the president, the Mars president or something.
The Mars president, yeah.
The Martian president?
Yeah.
So now with all of Quayle's memories returned, at least that we know of, the armed men appeal to Quayle to surrender, but Quayle, with his abilities, awakened now.
Yeah, he like remembers he's Jason Bourne.
Yeah, essentially. So he like fights off these guys and escapes.
Without killing them.
Yeah, no, he doesn't kill him. But
No killing.
While Quayle is running away, his like former commanders are speaking to him in his mind through the telepathic transmitter.
I liked that. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, that would be creepy as shit.
Yes.
Very creepy.
And so they're speaking to him, and Quayle suggests going through another mind wipe because he's just like, all right,
I can't.
like I don't want to do this, you know?
Because he knows his mind has to be erased or he needs to die because they won't let him have that information in his head that he killed that person because they got to cover it up.
Yeah. So he suggests going through another mind wipe, but he wants to replace his current awareness of being an assassin with like a pleasant memory of an exciting life. And so his commanders agree. So Quayle turns himself in. And he's placed with a psychiatrist to figure out what his own personal desires are. And what they find out is that when Quayle was a child, he used to fantasize that he came across minuscule aliens that were going to launch a full invasion of Earth with their superior technology.
Aliens, okay.
So this is something that he thought about when he was a kid, and he's like, this is what I want implanted into my mind.
Yes, because if he knows that he saved Earth, then he'll be fine. Like
That's a good memory, yeah.
He won't be pushed to do anything else like that's like crazy or like adventurous. Like he'll be fine knowing that he saved Earth.
Yeah.
And that will keep him from ever uncovering that he killed the president of Mars.
Yeah. So, but in association with this memory, so with this fantasy, Quayle thought of that he was kind and accepting of the aliens, so they decided to hold off their invasion as long as he was alive. So they're going to prolong their invasion until he dies, essentially, because they don't want to kill him. They don't want to kill him.
They want to kill everybody else.
What nice aliens.
Yeah, in the invasion, yeah. Right? Such nice aliens.
They're so judgy, you know?
So with this like fantasy that he tells these people, the people at Recall, his commanders agree to plant that sort of memory into his mind.
And Recall can do it. They're like, we got it.
Yeah, but as they begin the implantation process, to everyone's shock, the memories turn out to be real as well. So this fantasy that he just said, it turns out to be real because Quayle wakes up during the process and reveals that the aliens were the ones who gave him the weapon to assassinate the Mars political leader. Right. And it's like a magic invisible destroying rod, whatever that is.
Jeez.
Exactly. Yeah, and he remembers that before they implement, that new memory into his brain.
Yeah.
So that's how they know it's real.
Yeah.
And it's just like, whoa. At the end of that story, you're just like, what the hell? That is
Quayle.
a crazy twist. Now they have to keep this guy alive for humanity's sake.
Yes.
For eternity.
It's way different than the movie, that's for sure. With that ending.
It's like, where do we go from here?
I just, like, how the hell did these guys sit down? Like, because if Dan O'Bannon was the guy who originally was looking at this short story and wanted to make it into a screenplay.
Yeah.
I mean, what the hell, man? What do you do? That's so much. That's ridiculous.
It's too out there. Yeah, it has to be different.
Agreed.
Because, like, an audience
come on, an invisible destroying rod. How do you?
Yeah, we don't need to, they don't tell us what it is. We don't need to know what it is, but
in terms of taking the premise, though, I think they did a great job in turning the script into what it was.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And their whole idea that I mentioned earlier in trivia, right, where they wanted to make Arnold like a synthetic recreation of the body that like the machine killed him or whatever. Like that was kind of cool. So
yeah,
it was like Philip K. Dick-esque, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though it got cut from the film.
So let's talk about the film just really quickly. We're not going to spend too much time on it. We wanted to mainly focus on the short story because it's just very different. We figured nobody would really know about it.
Yeah.
If you want to read it, check it out. We highly suggest it. It's a quick read. It's only like 20 pages.
Yeah, you can Google it, right, and just access it.
Yeah,
you don't have to buy it or anything.
It's pretty easy to find. So yeah, the film. I mean, it's basically the same central premise, but it is, of course, vastly different. Mainly with all the action that is packed into it.
Yeah, I love that you have that written here in our notes. It's just action, action, action.
A lot of action, man.
That's what it is. It's Arnold.
I mean, that's what you get with Arnold.
Schwarzenegger, baby.
Yeah, that's what he's bringing with him.
What I say, 77 people, right?
Yeah, 77 people died.
I wonder what Arnold's total movie kill count is. He's got to be pushing thousands.
Thousands, I'm sure, of like goons that
a lot.
He's just silenced.
Yeah, I mean, in Commando, he's a one-man army.
So like Drew said, we're not going to like file down and break down the whole movie. But for me, at least, like I went to Google, found some rabbit holes, and just the talk about like the whole movie's supposed to be like just a giant dream for Arnold, and he's just like in this own mental state. So think Matrix. I guess that's the way I thought of it.
Yeah,
he's just got like a rogue body somewhere, and then he's just being pumped with this fake reality. Is what like fans theorize in a way. But like I got some like facts to like pull that up. But so in Recall, they call it the ego trip, and this is the memory option that gives Arnold the idea he is a secret agent. Like that's replaced like just like in the short story as well. But this is the moment that the movie switches from reality to a dream, and I question that because it's like, so when he becomes having these thoughts of being the secret agent, this is the dream world that he's in, or is he the construction worker? And is it vice versa, back and forth? I don't know. It's interesting to try to wrap like our heads around this to know like, is it from the start to finish as a dream, or is it when he becomes to have his secret agent? That's when it separates reality to the dream world. If that makes any sense.
I just like to think that I don't know. I don't really think that the whole thing is a dream. I just like to think that he used to be a secret agent. They wiped his memory, made him think he was a construction worker, and then he goes to recall, and that's when he starts to realize that he was a secret agent.
Gotcha.
And then he's like struggling to come to that realization. So I think he's the same person physically, but mentally, all of his memories and stuff, that's what changes his reality of who he is.
Right.
And that he's trying to come to terms with that. That's how I think of the movie, at least.
Yeah.
But I thought what I've done online as well is like the ending is like the most like firm belief that makes it that it is a dream, because apparently like in the movie, I think I missed it. Well, I definitely missed it. But like one of the workers says like, that's a new one, blue sky on Mars. So like in their like simulation or like created Mars world, they were able to like make blue sky like how we have here. And at the end of like the movie, how it pans out, there's a blue sky. Yeah. And so this is supposed to be conspiracy that he is just within his own head of being on Mars.
I like it. I mean, I think, well, I know for a fact the director, Bryan, he did it on purpose. Here's a quote that the director gave in like some DVD commentary. He's like outlining the fact that, you know that Dr. Edgemar, right? He's like the Total Recall doctor in the commercials.
Yeah. And
he's the guy that comes in and like is talking to Arnold saying, hey, like you're in a dream world. Like if you kill me, he literally says in the movie, if you kill me, the walls of reality will come crashing down, right? And moments after he shoots Edgemar, the walls of the apartment crash down with bad guys, right? And he also says that Quaid will believe himself the savior of the resistance, only to discover that he is in fact Cohagen's bosom buddy, right?
Oh, yeah.
Which he was. That's exactly what happened in the movie. He was working for Cohagen originally.
Yes.
And the doctor also says that he will have visions of an alien civilization, which he does, during the mind meld with Quato, right?
Yes.
And then the director also points out in this like statement that if a viewer believes the whole film is a dream, Bryan, like you just mentioned, then Edgemar's prediction that Quaid will end up being lobotomized is fulfilled, actually, in the fade to white, which ends the movie. So if you're like, if you're saying, Bryan, like what you're talking about, and you think that it's just a dream, and when the movie ends and it fades to white, that they're lobotomizing him because his brain is lost, because he got, lost in his dream at recall.
Yeah.
Or if you're like an Arnold Schwarzenegger fan and you're just like an action movie buff, you're like, no, Mars is air, and life continues.
Yeah.
So it's up to the person to decide what they want to believe.
Oh, for interpretation.
Exactly.
That's cool. That's cool, but you don't see that in action movies.
Not in an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. No, you don't see possible dual meanings to endings and things like that. No. That's pretty dope. I wonder if
just
Arnold
the thinkers,
even
I like to appreciate the ending of a movie. Thinkers. I like being forced to Google when I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, I think that says a lot about this movie, and I think that's pretty cool because, I mean, they at least kept that aspect of it true from the short story instead of just taking the short story idea and saying, oh, how can we just turn this into a full-blown action movie?
Right.
Like a blockbuster cash,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's neat. I mean, there's a ton of little things about this movie that are really cool, like to know while you're watching it, I guess. I mean, like the finished product is great, but all these little tidbits that we're kind of uncovering here make the story itself like cooler.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, because all the action and stuff is just dressing. I mean, you have like the corny like one-liners in there. You have the silly like action stuff where
the chick with 3 boobs too. Don't forget about her. That was silly.
The funny just more special effects like the eye bulging stuff when they're breathing for air outside.
Won an Oscar.
I think the funniest part, like the dopiest like action part of this movie, is when Arnold's using that like hologram part of himself.
Yeah.
And
the cloning thing?
Yeah, and he walks out and he's like, do you think this is the real Quaid? Or like he starts laughing and all the guys just like stare at him. They don't even shoot at him. He's like, do you think this is the real Quaid? And he starts laughing. He's like, well, it is. And he shoots them all. It's just like, oh, that's just silly, man.
Yeah, it was good.
All right, well, let's move over to final thoughts. I mean, I know we didn't really talk about the movie that much. We really wanted to mainly focus on Philip K. Dick and his short story in this episode. But final thoughts, I mean, well, what do you guys like better, the movie or the short story? I don't need reasons. I just want to know.
I don't know. I say movie. I'm just more of a visual entertained guy.
I'm gonna say the short story, just because like it's so weird. Like I've never read anything like that, where it's just the ending is just so different.
As for an ending, yes.
And it just
I can agree with that.
And knowing that that's what spawned the movie, like that's the original idea, I just think it's cooler.
Yeah. I mean, I like both. I mean, I'd say I'm probably biased towards the movie just because we were more familiar with the movie than the short story. Of course, like I think I said this before, like with just short story, the 3 short story episodes we've done. If you probably read the short story first, then watch the movie, or if you were around when the short story was published, then you'd probably like the short story more. I like both, man.
I guess I'll give my little final thought wrap up. I'm a huge fan of sci-fi, so I mean I love all the science stuff, the weird, let you think about days on something probably.
Yeah,
of
this
course,
movie
Arnold.
did.
I'm
Bryan,
a Schwarzenegger fan. What's up?
I was just like, this movie like predicted FaceTime, kind of, right?
Oh,
I'm sure
yeah,
a little bit, yeah.
A lot
Definitely.
of movies have.
A lot of movies, yeah.
A lot of movies, yeah, which is crazy. Will they predict the robot driving taxis? Will we see that?
yeah,
the Johnny Cab?
Johnny Cabs, yeah. I mean, it's kind of nice that they throw in like a robot that you can like look at and talk to. That's kind of a nice touch.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. Interesting concept. Super visually appealing. I liked all the special effects, practical effects. I mean, every time it's on, not every time it's on, but I always have it on. Watch it every once in a while. It's entertaining. I'd give this one 3 out of 5.
Yeah, for me, I think I'm with you at 3 out of 5. I can't decide which I like better, Running Man or this, like in terms of like a sci-fi movie, because The Running Man is great. That is such a good Arnold movie.
It's a Stephen King book.
Oh, really?
I haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah.
So they're both like
Stephen
created by
King.
really, really cool writers.
But Stephen King wrote it under the pen name Richard Bachman.
Bachman.
Richard Bachman, yeah.
It'd be cool to have a pen name. Just be like, yeah, I have my own name, but I also have this other
Here's
name.
my pseudonym.
Yeah. Just like Madison Baumgartner just did with the rodeo stuff.
Oh, yeah.
What was it again? It was like
I don't know.
Mason Saunders.
Okay.
That was his code name. Mason Saunders. But yeah, I don't know. Running Man's good. I really like Total Recall. 3 out of 5 stars. I'm with you, Bryan.
Yeah, I'm 3 out of 5 too. I like the movie. I like the short story.
3 out of 5.
Philip K. Dick is great. Yeah.
I kind of want to read more of his shorts. Like Minority Report
That's true,
is in that same anthology. I kind of want to check that out.
Yeah, it's in there.
Is that
All
Tom
short
Cruise
reads,
movie?
so that's probably pretty shit.
It's a weird movie,
You're saying,
Bryan. You should check it out.
Which one?
Minority Report,
Okay.
2002. Tom Cruise. I don't know why I said his name like that.
No matter what platform you're using to listen to us, I want it to be known that we're available on iTunes, YouTube, and Spreaker. You can also find us on Instagram at screenplay_junkie. If you like our content, please be sure to follow our channels so you can stay in the loop with new episodes and quick movie reviews. Feel free to give us a rating or drop us a comment on any of these mediums. Any feedback or interaction is greatly appreciated. Got any scripts you think we should read or movies we should review? Shoot us a message on our Instagram or email us at screenplayjunkie.show@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. We're going to do another animated film on the next episode. We are kind of disappointed about the screenplay version of Shrek we were able to find, so we want to revisit this genre. So with that being said, we'll be taking a look at the 2007 animated film Ratatouille. Thank you for listening. We hope you can join us next time.